The Buckeyes are traveling west this week for a top 5 matchup in college football. It's the Ohio State Buckeyes versus the Oregon Ducks in a game that will surely have folks on the edge of their seats Saturday night. Welcome everyone to Keep It a Buck, Lance Hearn preview style. We're going to get you up to speed with all you need to know in this primetime matchup. So let's keep it a buck. Okay, so Daniella, let's keep it a buck. This is a top 5 matchup, a primetime matchup in Eugene. What are you looking for most of this game? I know you mentioned you were supposed to be going to college in Oregon, so what are you most excited about?
I'm just excited overall for the Ohio State-Oregon matchup. Me from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, would have never have thought that that I'd be at Ohio State first and foremost, and that I would not be a Duck. But I think
You're a Buckeye now.
Yeah, I'm a Buckeye now. It's so funny how life plays out. Anyways, I'm just so excited for this game. The energy in Eugene is just something like I've never seen before. I feel like they're very underrated in that sense. You hear the hype around, Ohio Stadium, Penn State, Michigan, how those are all very tough places to compete. Yeah. But you never really hear the same for Asst Stadium. And that is an atmosphere that is just as tough. And, this is going to be the Buckeyes' biggest test yet. They have not faced a team of this caliber whatsoever this season, and it's number 2 versus number 3, and at the end of the day, somebody's going home a loser, whether it's Buckeyes getting back on the plane or Oregon going back home to their apartments.
Yeah, and this game doesn't get any better than this. Now, let's look at the history between these two teams. Now, the Buckeyes, for the most part, have been pretty dominant in this matchup. They've won 9 of the last 10 games, but their one loss did come in 2021 when the number 12 Ducks came in and spoiled the Buckeyes' home opener. Ryan Day said he vividly remembers that game. He said C.J. Stroud, that was probably his second or third start, and he knew C.J. was going to be special, and obviously he has proven that. But he said he does remember the defense not performing so well in that matchup. They could not stop the Oregon Ducks. But when you look at the defense this year and the one in 2021, they're light years away. So they should be able to keep the Ducks at bay.
And Denzel Burke also spoke about how he vividly remembers that game. He was a freshman, of course, during that game. And he was talking about how they kind of are going into this as a redemption. Like they have a chip on their shoulder and they want to go to Eugene and spoil their home turf.
Wow.
The way that they came over here and just, dominated the Buckeyes. And I vividly remember that game because I was in an Oregon sweatshirt. There's definitely a photo floating around. Go Buckeyes.
And so also, too, they're getting some help from some staff members on the Buckeyes. And now Chip Kelly was the head coach from 2009 to 2012. And Carlos Lachlan, the running back coach for Ohio State, also was coaching at Oregon as part of the staff. And Ryan Day said they have provided some valuable information as well. And they need all the information they can get against this Duck squad. The Buckeyes are currently 4.5 points favorites. Now, that might change once game time obviously arrives. But again, this is going to be a really great matchup. And there's really big implications for this game as well. Obviously, the Big Ten has gotten bigger. There's plenty of teams doing well, including Indiana. So undefeated, right? So we'll really see what this Buckeyes team can do because, again, there's big implications, and these two teams can possibly see each other once again in the Big Ten championship. But I will consider this as a must-win game.
Oh, absolutely. If the Buckeyes do not win, and it goes the same for Oregon. If they're, like I said, they're both undefeated. They're number 2 and number 3 in the country.
Doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that, first and foremost. But, for Ohio State, there's been all of this talk since the beginning of the season that, they've had a cupcake schedule. They haven't really faced any real opponents. Well, for the Buckeyes, this is their game to prove that they are as good as they're made out to be. And it's their time to prove everybody else who's been saying that they're not as great as they are wrong.
Yeah, and their schedule is only getting tougher. They're facing Penn State, Nebraska.
Indiana.
It's going to get tougher and tougher. Now, this isn't a cupcake schedule, okay? But Emeka Egbuka has obviously been the player of the game. He was the player of the game against Iowa. 3 touchdowns, a career day for him. And Jayla, do you want to kind of dive into that? You talk about red zone efficiency. He has for sure played a part in that.
Yes, definitely. So as we all know, the offense has been the real deal for the Buckeyes. You got Will Howard constantly finding Jeremiah Smith in the end zone, Emeka Egbuka, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, the list goes on. but the Buckeye offense is a perfect 21 for 21 in red zone scoring. And as for the defense, we all know how great the Buckeye defense is. There's no hiding that. They're number 1 in scoring, number 1 in total defense, number 3 in rushing, and number 4 in passing. And as you mentioned, Emeka Egbuka. It was the Emeka Egbuka show against Iowa on this past Saturday. He had a career-high 3 touchdowns, and he was also named the Big Ten's Co-Offensive Player of the Week. As for Oregon, their offense is ranked number 45 in red zone touchdown conversions, and they're averaging 35 points a game, which is pretty similar to what the Buckeyes are averaging a game. Wide receiver Tez Johnson has had 5 touchdowns and caught 43 passes for 395 yards so far this season. And their defense, not as tough as the Buckeye defense, let's just put it that way.
But in the top 25
But
defense.
they're in the top 25, so you can't count them out. Number 21 in scoring, 18 in passing, 24 rushing, and number 10 in total defense.
Wow, this is going to be a
It's
great
going to be
matchup.
a great
I
matchup.
am so excited
Just
for it.
looking at the stats and everything from the two teams, it's just, it's going to be so good.
What time is it at? 7:30 again?
7:30 here, 4:30 p.m. West Coast time.
This is going to be a great game. But speaking of great, we have some great fun facts that Daniella found. So could you tell us what those fun facts were?
Yes, of course. So as stated earlier, this is the 11th time that the two teams are going to be meeting. We, of course, know the Buckeyes lead the series 9-1. But this is only going to be the second time that they play in Eugene.
Wow. That's
Second
remarkable.
time. Yeah, this is going to be
So
the
all
11th
the other
matchup.
times have been in Columbus or
Playoffs.
Wow.
Columbus and Palaos, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. I saw that and I was like, wow, that doesn't really sound right.
So have you ever been to an Oregon game before?
I have not gone to an Oregon game. I went to the stadium.
Okay, the stadium. Okay, so from watching it on TV, if you had to compare both stadiums, Ohio Stadium.
Ohio Stadium.
I think Ohio Stadium could get the loudest, but I feel like, is it Aztec?
I think it's Autzen.
Autzen? Okay, it's a weird name.
It's a weird name. I probably am botching the name, but I'm pretty sure.
But on TV, that stadium, it just makes me dizzy. Like, it's so many.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the colors I love the colors.
Yes,
green is my favorite color. I mean, obviously.
You're not really.
Let's not talk about that. No. Green is my favorite color. But, whenever I'm watching it, it's like the crowd is loud, and then, all the colors, it's like in a movie or something,
Yeah,
I feel like.
I mean, I can absolutely say that. I mean, in terms of loudness, Ohio Stadium, there really is nothing.
I don't
feel
think it
like
gets any louder than that.
I need ear transplant after every single game. My ears feel like they're ringing. But I mean, we always hear, Penn State's a tough place to play.
Yeah.
Michigan's a tough place to play.
Yeah.
We always hear about those teams. But you never really hear about how tough Oregon is to play. And it's not even just the stadium, it's the fan base. They have a very dedicated fan base. The people from Oregon love the Ducks.
Oh.
They love the Ducks. And they are so excited for this matchup. I mean, it is just there's just so much hype around it. So many people are going. There's so much excitement to it. It's number 2 versus number 3. You can't help but be excited. I've been waiting for this game.
I've
been waiting for this game since I found out that it was on the schedule.
Yeah.
I, of course, wish it was here in Columbus, but you know what? I feel like that's what makes it that much more special is the fact that it's away, and the Buckeyes have that chance to win at Oregon.
And like Burke said, this is a redemption game. He
Yep.
was a freshman. He's now a senior, right? So it's like this is going to be a great game for him, a redemption game for him. I mean, I talked about on the offensive side, this being Abuka's homecoming game. He's from Washington, which is north of Oregon.
Yes.
But on the defensive end, I think Denzel Burke might be the defensive player of the game. He wants redemption, and he wants it bad.
He
so
does.
is there any more fun fact that you
Yes.
found?
So this is going to be the first ever top 3 matchup at the stadium, which is crazy. The first ever top 3 matchup.
Who have they faced? Jesus! The first top 3?
Yeah.
Wow.
First ever top 3, and it couldn't have been a better game. Oregon, I mean, obviously they're new to the Big Ten, but there's no doubt that this is going to become a rivalry between
This is definitely
these two
going
teams.
to become a rivalry. Oh, this is going to be so great wow.
Yeah, and the next time they face each other will be 2026 here at the Ohio Stadium.
Wow. Yeah, when you looked at the Buckeye schedule for this year, I was looking at obviously Michigan, Indiana, Nebraska. But this Oregon game was the one where I'm just like, this is going to be a really good game. And
This
just
is
because of what happened the last time they faced each other.
Yeah.
You knew they had it, and they all talked about how you don't try to look ahead, but you had this game circled on your calendar, you know?
I mean, this is my Super Bowl personally. Like, forget the Michigan game. This is my game. Like, this is the game. Because this is really, I mean, it is still early on in the season. You know, I know we're at like the halfway mark, technically speaking, but it's still so early on. Like, if the Buckeyes lose, that's going to set their tone for Penn State, who they have in just a few weeks,
and
less
isn't
than a month
Penn
away.
State 4 or 5 right now?
Yeah, no, they're 3. No, they're 4. They're 4. Sorry, they're 4. So we have
Yeah.
Ohio State number 2, Oregon 3, Penn State 4. 3 Big Ten teams in the top 5.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and obviously the Buckeyes are going to be traveling to Penn State, to Beaver Stadium, just as I mentioned, a very crazy atmosphere. So if, you know, the Buckeyes don't come out with the victory, like I said, it's going to be setting the tone for the rest of their season.
That will have to be a must-win game.
That would have to, yeah, they cannot afford to have a second loss on their resume. I understand that, you know, the playoff, you know, it's expanded, it's 12-team now, but that still would not, any chance for a national championship contention.
I mean, you see where Michigan fell? They're out of the top 15 right now, and they only had 2 losses too, right?
Yeah, they've only had 2.
This is a must-win game for the Buckeyes, guys. Any more fun facts you have?
Yes, we do. So ESPN College Game Day is actually going to be covering the game, which many were a bit upset about because of the Texas-Oklahoma Red River Showdown. You know, everyone was like, that's a bigger game. In my opinion, I think this is a much bigger game.
This is a top 5 matchup.
It's a top 5 matchup.
No shade to Oklahoma.
No shade. No shade. But this is going to be Ohio State's 60th appearance on the game day, and the Buckeyes are 40-19 when appearing on game day, which is the most wins of any program. Wow. So hopefully this will be good luck for the Buckeyes. Hopefully Lee Corso puts on that Brutus head and does not put on that duck.
Wow, that is awesome. Well, those are all the fun facts. Can you exit about this?
Yes. So thank y'all so much for watching. We will look forward to seeing y'all next week.
It's Jayla Vanhorn
and Daniella Davila
with Lantern TV.